Lingalitshona njani izulu kanti abayi ukudibana kuhlelo lethu labasakhulayo uhlelo The Connection lilami uMike Hove kwazi muri Zimbabwe ndinomkamchira muchirongwa chedu chevechidiki chirongwa The Connection muineni Mike Hove. Welcome muri Zimbabwe muhle. Welcome to The Connection, Studio 7's very own youth program that targets tackling anything and everything youth related. Muri Zimbabwe tino urombo kutati kwanise kupa ichirongwa chisemazuva ose. Unfortunately, muri Zimbabwe, we're not able to give you our program live as per usual due to COVID-19. We're all working from home. What this means is you cannot call in into our program as usual. Unfortunately, it's a really unfortunate circumstance. Nonetheless, you can always text us on WhatsApp on +1 202 465 0318. Zvisinei muri Zimbabwe tiri pano pachirongwa chedu chevechidiki uhlelo The Connection. Namhla on Tuesday, June 16, 2020. Such an important day, and we're going to delve deeper into why June 16 is such an important day for the youth of Zimbabwe. Saka nasi muchirongwa muri Zimbabwe kuendera mberi tichibata nyaya yechirwere checoronavirus. We look to focus on what's happening muzvikoro zvedu. Last week, we heard the Minister of Information, Honorable Monica Muchirongwa, announcing vachiudza muri Zimbabwe kuti zvikoro zvichange zvichivhurwa musi 28 July, next month 28 July. So we look to update you all tichinzwa kuti is Zimbabwe ready to reopen schools? Are schools safe and ready to be reopened during this time? We're still during the under lockdown conditions. Njalo the nation is still fighting umkhuhlane coronavirus. So with all that in mind, is Zimbabwe ready to reopen its schools? But that's not the only issue that we're looking to touch on namhla kuhlelo lethu labasakhulayo. Sabe sithinta njalo udaba lwesuku lwe-International Day of the African Child. June 16, such an important day for African youth, such an important day for South African youth. June 16 is the day that the African Union set aside as the International Day of the African Child. It is also Youth Day in South Africa. Now, this day itself was set aside by the AU as a means of commemorating the youth of South Africa in 1976 in Soweto, who took to the streets in protest. It's time for them to receive equal treatment with their white counterparts. They were fighting for equal treatment in terms of their right to education and other basic human rights. We're also going to be touching on what's happening whereby the youth of America have been taken to the streets for the last couple of weeks in protest of racial inequality. Justice for George Floyd, justice for Rayshard Brooks. Those are some of the chants that the American youth have been chanting in the streets of America for the past couple of weeks. And these protests have also taken off in different countries: Britain, New Zealand, Australia. So those are the three things that we're going to be touching on Nhasi muchirongwa muri Zimbabwe. But first up, coronavirus, umkhuhlane we-COVID-19. The global pandemic is responsible for taking over 437,000 lives, 437,500 lives worldwide. As we speak, over 8 million people have tested positive for COVID-19. So I repeat, over 437,500 lives have been taken and increasing, and 8 million have tested positive for COVID-19 worldwide. Now, but this is a pre-recorded program, so by the time we go on air, there's a high possibility that these numbers could have changed. But as we speak, those are the numbers. In Zimbabwe, 387 people have tested positive for COVID-19. 4 have surpassed, 4 have died, and 54 have recovered. Now, according to the most recent tweet issued by the Ministry of Health, as we speak, and I read literally off their Twitter page, 59,194 people have been tested for umkhuhlane coronavirus. 34,581 are RDT tests, and 24,613 are PCR tests. Which leads us to the big question that we're looking to discuss, Nhasi muchirongwa. Is Zimbabwe ready to reopen its schools? Is it safe to open schools in Zimbabwe? With the numbers constantly increasing over the past couple of weeks, the big question is, once again, is it safe? muchirongwa The Connection, chirongwa chedu chevechidiki, uhlelo The Connection, Studio 7's very own youth program that targets tackling anything and everything youth-related. Muri Zimbabwe, this broadcast that you are currently listening to via radio is going to be live. Is going to be available on our 3 Facebook pages: VOA Shona, VOA Studio 7, zvekare VOA Ndebele. So if you're looking to watch the video broadcast, it's going to be available on our 3 Facebook pages. Lingakhohlwi phela zulukandaba ukushare phela uhlelo kuthi kuthone chirongwane wadwedu ukuze sibukele phela uhlelo ngobunengi bethu. Sakangane zvekare kutinya paya pakanze like kuitira kuti tione kuti muripo pachirongwa chedu chevechidiki. Now let's delve into it. Is Zimbabwe ready to reopen schools? Now, last week, once again, we heard the Minister of Information, Honorable Monica Muchangwa, announcing ukuthi mhlaka 28 July, Zimbabwe is going to be reopening its schools. Now, liyakumbula phela ukuthi throughout the month of May, there had been talks of whether or not Zimbabwe would open schools. We heard ZimSec appearing before the parliamentary board talking about how they were preparing to ensure as soon as government announces they'd be ready to facilitate the opening of schools in order for phase 1. Uhulumende had said in phases. Phase 1 accommodating for those who are going to be writing who are going to be writing their examinations. But now let's head over to the teachers themselves. What exactly how do the teachers feel about this circumstance? In the program, we have an interview. Robson Chere is the Secretary General of the Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe, ATUZ. Let's head over to Robson Chere.
Tiri kunyunyuta nekugunun'una kuti hurumende pakuti itaure zuva rekuti zvikoro zvinge zvichivhurwa pasati paitwa measures ekuti pange paine safety kuvarairidzi vedu pamwe chete nevana vezvikoro. Danho rakaipisisa zvikuru. Vanogona vakapa zvavo zuva rekuti zvikoro zvichavhurwa musi wakati, asi kana zvikwanisiro zvekuti kunge varairidzi nevana vechikoro vange vachidzivirirwa denda rekorona, funge kuti zvichange zvichibudirira kuti zvikoro zvichange zvivhurwa musi wakatarwa uyu.
Vachere tungamiriro wenyika vaEmerson Mnangagwa vakati vemachechi vave kubvumidzwa kusangana asi vasingadarike vanhu 50 panguva imwe chete. Vakati zvekare nyika yave kugadzirira kuvhura ikonomi vachipa vanoita mabasa emaoko mukana wekuisa maapplication iye inovapa mvumo yekudzokera kubasa. Tichitarisa matanho ari kutorwa nehurumende, chii chinoita kuti muve nechivimbo chekuti zvikoro zviendere mberi zvakavharwa panguva iyo hurumende iri kuda kuvhura mamwe maindustry?
Right, tiri kuti zvikoro zvivhurwe isuwe masvondo tichiti vasadarike 50. Apa toziva kuti zvikoro zvedu zvine over enrollment yakanyanyisa. Tikambotanga tatarisa kuti pari zvino damage inoitika ndeipi pakuvhurwa kwamboita wedzisvondo vachisangana vasingadarike 50. Zvinhu zvanga zvakanaka tisati tati zvikoro zvivhurwe, nekuti zvikoro zvedu zvine vana vakawandisa. Find out kuti teacher people ratio iko zhozhi kazhinji inenge iri kana 1:90. Zvinobva zvadefeata purpose yekuti gathering yesu isaite vanhu 50 yemasvondo. Zvinobva zvatemesa musoro kuti uzive kuti pfungwa dzacho zviri kumbofamba sei. Ngatitange tamboasesa risk iyoyo nemasvondo avhurwa acho, toone kuti risk yacho nekutapurirana denda rekorona yakamira sei. Tichishanda kuti tiise dziviriro zvekare muzvikoro zvedu.
Ndiudzeiwo Vachere, kana nyika yakafanana neSouth Africa uko kuno vanhu vanodarika 60,000 vane chirwere checoronavirus uyezve 1,300 vakafa nepamusana pechirwere ichi vachikwanisa kuvhura zvikoro, chii chinozotadzisa Zimbabwe kuti itore danho rakafanana?
Dzidzo kuSouth Africa yakasiyana nekuno. Tichitarisa panyaya yemaresources nemamaterials, muno kunyanya muzvikoro zvekumaruwa tine vana vamwe vachitodzidzira pasi pemiti, hakuna maclassroom akanatsokwana. Tine vana vamwe vachiri kuita zveyatinoti hot sitting yekuti vamwe vanouya kuseni odzidzawo kusvika na12, then mamwe maclasses ozouya kubva na12 odzidzawo kusvika na4. Tikwanise kukombera tichishandisa kuti South Africa yavhura zvikoro saka ngazvivhurewo. Tikada kutarisa izvozvo kuSouth Africa kwachoni mune maprovince kuri kutotestwa iko zvozvi vana vamwe vari kuonekwa vane utachiona hwekorona kuCape Town, asi munomu hatina zvatakwanisa kuti tinge tichiita kuti tidzivirire varairidzi nevana ava. South Africa tazvikare screening and testing yakaitwa zvikoro zvakati saka munomu hatina kukwanisa taita kuti screening iyoyo tofanira kunge tichifokasa nekugadzirira preparedness yedu pama-issues to do with safety. Ndo chinhu chakanyanyokosha panguva ino tingadai tiri mubishi kumhanya kuti tagadzirisa chii zvinodikanwa kana pane mamwe makeshift classroom anokwanisa kunge achiitwa kuita kuti vanhu vasazonyanya kusangana zvakanyanya. Izvozvo ndo zvatofanira kunge tichifokasa on.
Haiwa, takunzwa zvakanaka. Mubvunzo wokupedzisira vachere tobva tapeta chirongwa. Tinonzwa kuti sangano renyu reATUS pamwe chete nemamwe masangano anomirira varayiridzi makatora matanho ekumisa kunyorwa kwema-examinations pamwe chete nekuvhurwa kwezvikoro. Tiudzeiwo zvizere.
Nemusi womugowera takakwanisa kufaila mapepa ecourt interdict ekuda kumisa hurumende nezimsec kuti zvikoro zvinge zvisavhurwe panguva yakataurwa nezimsec kuti ma-examinations anofanira kunge achitanga. Nyaya yakaita kuti tiite ndeyekuti tanga tisina kunge tawirirana kuti zvikoro zvivhurwe. Isusu nemamwe masangano anomiririra varayiridzi tose takapawo nhunha dzedu maererano nekuvhurwa kwezvikoro, tikanosangana komiti yeparamende inoona nezvedzidzo tikawirirana zvekare kuti zvikoro zvedu hazvisati zvava pastage yekuti tingati tinge tichivhurira vana kuti vange vachiuya nekuti tichine zvakawanda zvikuda kuti zvigadziriswe. Zimseki yobva yati vana ngavaenderere vachatanga kunyora musi wa28 apa zvinhu zvese zvisati zvazvigadzirisa. Saka takazoisa mareasons edu arimo mukoti interdict. Vana vanofanira kunge vachiwana nguva yakawanda yekuprepare, uyezve kuti mastandard edu esafety regulation anofanira kunge ari in line with World Health Organization.
So aliyamuzwa umnumzana Robson Chere, Secretary General of the Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe. Uthi bona njengababalisi bayakhalala ngempela bathi uhulumende weZimbabwe akabi ready. So liyamuzwa umnumzana Robson Chere owenhlanganiso Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe uyakhalala ngempela. Uthi hayi eleZimbabwe ebona njengababalisi babona ngani eleZimbabwe is not ready ukuvula izikolo. Bona njengenhlanganiso they further taken uhulumende weZimbabwe njalo inhlanganiso eZimsec to court an order as an attempt to block ukuvulwa kwezikolo. So asitsheleni izulu kanti aba +12024650318 la kusitshela umbono wenu. Asiqhubekele phambili ngodaba yesilalo namhla kuhlelo. Let's head over sizwe ukuthi abafundi bona bakubona njani lokho okwenzakalayo elizweni. Last week we had an interview lo munye wasakhulayo unkosazana Kwanele Moyo. Let's hear what Kwanele had to say. Ukwanele is a student mayelana ngalokho okwenze okuzama ukwenziwa nguhulumende okuvula izikolo mhla ka-28 July. Let's head over to Kwanele Moyo.
Indubo esihlangana lazo nje abafundi ukuthi asenelise ukuba internet idata for ukuthi singene ku internet sibe lama online lessons singene ku students portal. Internet is expensive. iZoom layo is expensive. Asikwanisi ukuthi sithenge idatha senze lecturer senzele iZoom sibe le Zoom lesson. Njalo kulabo abafundi abahlala emakhaya vele they can't have access to internet. Njalo bona abahlala emakhaya sometimes akula magetsi so they don't have access to internet. So munye kwendubo esihlangana lazo day to day.
Udaba lokuvulwa kwezikolo ukuze abanye bathola ithuba lokubhala imihloliso yabo ulubona njani?
Cabanga ukuthi ilizwe lethu alikho prepared for ukulwisana lesifo lese-coronavirus. Ngakho uhulumende kaqala ukuvula izikolo. Siqale sibone ukubana ama-centers abamanengi ngoba nxa engavula izikolo umkhuhlane lo nxa ungamemetheka abantwana bazalaliswa ngaphi ngoba igciwane lizamemetheka abantwana bawuthathe khona ngalesikolo ngoba we are not prepared. Kebe ungela ama-sanitizer abantwana bakhona bengagula bazafakwa ngaphi. Ngakho ngicabanga ukubana uhulumende kaqale ukuvula izikolo.
Ngombono wakho kuyini okumele kwenzakale izikolo zingakavulwa ukuze abafundi behambe esikolo bethembe ukuthi ngeke babanjwe ngalomkhuhlane?
Ngicabanga ukuthi uhulumende kumele atteste wonke umntwana kanye lombalisi singakavuli izikolo. Akube mandatory ukuthi wonke umbalisi lo mntwana attestwe andubana abantu babuyele esikolo siyebuthana emaklasini sizi expose to COVID-19. Njalo uhulumende kumele make sure ukuthi zonke izikolo ziyageziswa kube fakwa ama-sanitizer umntwana wonke abe le mask kanye lombalisi andubana sivule izikolo. Njalo ama-centers aqale establishwe abele mfanelo yonke ekwanileyo wenze ukuthi noma imkhuhlane lokuqhela abantu bathole lapho kokusindiswa khona.
Sikhangela omakhelwane bethu kwele South Africa, izikolo zivuliwe izolo. Nxa lokhu kwenzakala kwele South Africa, kuyini okuhluphayo kwele Zimbabwe?
Khangela ilizwe le South Africa, lona belizilungiselele angithi lile capacity yokubana lilusane lomkhuhlane lo, kodwa labo baphangisile ukubana bavule izikolo ngoba abantwana bonke bebengathestwanga kanye lababalisi. And ngithe ngibona inews ekseni kulabanye ababalisi abatholakale belegcikwane okutsho ukuthi umkhuhlane lo suzamemetheka. So ngibona ngani South Africa la iphangisile ukubana ivule izikolo. Ngakho uhulumende weZimbabwe la kamela ngalandela uhulumende weSouth Africa ngoba iSouth Africa is more capacitated than us. So uhulumende kaqale weZimbabwe kaqale ami ukuvula izikolo angalandeli iSouth Africa.
Hayi siyakuzwa Moyo, gqiba ingxoxo yethu ngokuphosela amazwi akho okugcina kubontanga.
Amazwi engiwatshela abantu abatsha ukuthi kasilandeleni imithetho eyafakwa nguhulumende kanye le yafakwa yiWHO. Asihlambeni izandla zethu ngama-sanitizer kumbe ngamanzi alesepa. Kasifaqokeni ama-mask ngaso sonke isikhathi. Kasi-avoideni ukubamba ubuso. Njalo si-avoideni ukutholakala endaweni ezilabantu abaningi. Siyakwazi ngabantu abatsha siyathanda ukusocialize, kodwa sineni indaba yokusocialize sizivikeleni esifeni lesi. Abantu abasha balenkolelo yokuthi bona ababanjwa igciwane libamba abantu abadala. Hayi kayisikho khonokho, igciwane libamba wonke umuntu iloba ngubani. So bonke amazwe amakhulu ibabulele abantu baqedile coronavirus. I'm sure it was ignorance. Ngakho asingayikeleni umkhuhlane lo lathi ufinyelela kithi singabi ignorant bantu abasha kasiphephenini.
So, Zulukandaba, you are hearing there from Ogwanele Moyo, a young Zimbabwean student. Vadzidzi navo vari kugunun'una vari kuti hurumende ngaimbomira nekuti vari kuti nemaondro avo zvikoro zvikavhurwa aiwa mhuri yeZimbabwe tinokwanisa kupinda busy. Bona Ugwanele uyasho ngempela ukuthi in her opinion, if we reopen schools, this could lead to an increase in coronavirus-related cases. But now, let's head over to ZimSec themselves. Earlier on, Muria Zimbabwe, I told you, Uguti, inhlanganiso ZimSec, before government announced, Uguti, this is the day that they're going to be reopening. Before Honorable Monica Mchwangwa announced last week, Uguti, izikolo zizabe zivula mhlaka 28. Last month in May, if I remember correctly, it was mhlaka 18 May. Inhlanganiso ZimSec appeared before the parliamentary board that is responsible for education, and they were highlighting ZimSec preparations to accommodate the June examinations. Now, they also highlighted what they're going to be doing in preparation, and amongst these things that they are highlighted last month was the measures that they're going to be taking as an examination board to ensure every student that is going to be writing the June examinations is going to be safe from umkhuhlane we-coronavirus. Now, ZimSec also highlights ukuthi they don't work alone. So they also highlight what they're asking of from the schools, from the parents, and of course, from the Ministry of Education itself. Now, let's head over to ZimSec. About the next clip that we're about to play for you is courtesy of Open Parley. If you're looking to watch the full length of the clip itself, you can go to Open Parley's Facebook page and search for it there. This was a meeting between ZimSec and the Parliamentary Board last month.
In printing these papers, Chair, we were compliant with the requirements of Statutory 99 of 2020, the statutory instrument, which talks about hand washing facilities, sanitizers, gloves, face masks, temperatures of employees and visitors being taken at entrance. We will disinfect all examination materials. And these materials are in plastics and they have been shrink wrapped and therefore will be able to disinfect. The vehicles which ferry them will be disinfected, and the personnel who use these will be given personal protective wear, which I've indicated earlier on. On the writing of the examination, Chair, I need to say that members must understand the roles of ZimSec and that of the ministry. ZimSec's role is to provide the question papers to our major stakeholder, the candidate. And we set, we print, we deliver to cluster centers and to schools, straight to schools. And from there on, the ministry has the authority over the people who handle examinations in schools. Therefore, when we deliver the question papers, we have assisted the heads of schools, of examination centers, with a circular which states on how we want the examinations to be handled. For example, disinfecting all classrooms, surfaces, facilities, and so forth. Reinforcing the hand washing, the sanitizers, and so forth. Wearing of masks. Promoting social distancing of candidates as they write the examination. Personal protective wear to candidates, this must be provided by schools. The marking of scripture will be done in an environment which is compliant with the statutory instrument which I've indicated earlier.
So liyazizwela mthwakazi omuhle muri eZimbabwe muri kuzvinzwira ka zviri kutaurwa ka nevezimsec. That is the board responsible for imihloliso for facilitating examinations in Zimbabwe. Liyakhumbula phela, and you might wonder ukuthi why are we playing a clip eZimsec? Liyakhumbula phela ukuthi uhulumende uke washo ngempela ukuthi izikolo when they reopen according to plan, according to the initial plan, schools are going to be reopening in phases, and in phase 1, they're going to be prioritizing wonke umuntu okumele abhale phela imihloliso. So yena iZimsec njengoba bona they are now accommodating for izikolo. This is the meeting that they had with the parliamentary board last month in May, whereby they were highlighting ukuthi bona njengenhlanganiso they're ready to accommodate for the June examinations, and these are the measures that they have in place. So as soon as government announced ukuthi hi, this is the day, bona beZimsec but hi, bona sebe ready. But now, this isn't just an issue amongst teachers and the government itself. We roped in the medical experts ukuthi sizwe phela from the experts themselves ukuthi ngempela is Zimbabwe ready to reopen the schools? Are Zimbabwean schools safe? Liyakhumbula phela ukuthi some schools are still being used as quarantine centers. So let's head over to an interview that I had with Dr. Wallace Hlambelo, who highlights umbono wakhe yena as a medical expert.
Coronavirus like basically is there to stay basically because gatesa sela muntu okuyilapha. So for us like things have to move, like sifanele ukuthi sibe lamadokotela amanye, ama-teacher, ama-soldier, abantu abanye. So abantwana bafuna ukuthi bafunde, but there are like as you know ukuthi kula problems ukuthi, for example, coronavirus like the way it spreads, like the main there are certain things that people must do. For example, physical, like what is called social distancing, and physical distancing, which one must stay at least 1 or 2 meters apart. But you always would escolo sometimes we are super abantwana to be that distant, for example, and do escolo foot abantu bayakhuluma kakhulu ku participate and so which means the spread vele coronavirus will be high in schools. So maybe it's just that like teachers to school ratio, students to teachers ratio they are very high. Like you might find maybe 80 students and 1 teacher. So sometimes very difficult, and also we don't have resources like so that to accommodate a few students per school. It's difficult as well, like I think even for the government. So what I'm probably maybe like with like shifts abantwana, they are not supposed to come to school every day. Like abantwana by 60 a classroom. Maybe the week you say this batch, like you divide them, by 20, 10, but we this week, this day, then but we another day. Then maybe they try to strengthen distance learning mainly, like assignments and so that they don't spend most of the time in school. Because you know school of very social distancing, like they have time like they have a long time. So all those things, they'll be seeing each other, they'll be mingling with everyone. So very we have a inking, very schooling, which abantwana adhere to those certain measures. But I know like there is a certain program at SS school, they are doing a fumigation, sanitizers which are available, face masks, all those things they are trying to get them to the schools. But issue much is about social distancing. And also the issue ukuthi masivula isikolo futhi sifanele ukuthi sitest umuntu wonke, like all the students and the teachers are supposed to be tested.
We've seen what has happened in other countries, for example, Hong Kong and South Africa, where they reopened schools and there were teachers and students that were tested positive for COVID-19. What do we need to do in Zimbabwe to ensure that similar circumstances don't happen?
Okay, so okay, like what you're saying, Guti, usually like I know Guti right now, Ngavuli school, we know Guti they are actually there might be teachers, students that will be positive. So I think now usually to opening of schools now. We are sure about the timeline. Is it early kuvula isikolo or is it late? Because it depends now with Lama resources. And if you are saying you are opening schools in July, what forms of resources do you have or what have you put in place? For example, in terms of South Africa, in terms of the resource side, obviously we are on the minor side because they are testing a lot of people. And they can, like what they did, like they actually tested teachers and students, then they found that some of them were positive. So I think on our case now, like to follow that protocol would be difficult. See, test everyone because like ama kids and corn and they are not easily available for everyone and they are not easily accessible. So the issue now, like what we are mainly doing, like currently, like as you know, main kids we are mainly concentrating on the quarantine centers because that's where we have more cases that are coming up which are positive. So in that issue now, we're going to see ngasivula isikolo ukuthi singatest umuntu wonke ka-test kuzahlupha ukuthi sitest, but basically that's what we are supposed to do. And but the problem now, if we don't test everyone, we know it will bring a lot of panic really my parents, because I heard some parents were saying we can't take our students back to school because we are not sure what COVID even among students. So really it will be an outcry really inkinga say like a test as a nation, because I know what these scholars are full, and I know some of the final year medical students they've opened already. So and they were tested. So I'm not sure about the results good as a major. But into the really of opening schools really is supposed to be done one way or the other, either now or later. But because we know what really COVID lay will be here with us for some time, provided that we don't find the cure anytime soon. So very now COVID, certain things are supposed to be done the way that they are done, although we put more caution, like for example the social distancing and things like that. And the issue now, like school, like in terms of on the Zimbabwean perspective, I think it's a necessary measure that the government took. But now it now depends on do we have the resources to test everyone? If we can't test everyone, do we have the measures to restrict infections to those who might have the infection? So really we are supposed we have to put them in mind. Are we able to say some students come and some not come this day, and we try to do a shift around some might come maybe twice or thrice a week or something like that. Ukuthi vele umkhuhlane lo abantu bangagcwali umkhuhlane lawa at the same time. So it's a really challenge vele ukuthi than that. Because I know that even when I'm testing and most of teachers are positive at test, that opening schools can actually be cancelled. They say, let's just wait a bit.
Okay.
So I think now it just also depends on which scholars are going, because ama classrooms are actually used as quarantine centers.
Right.
So, and most of them, they're trying to evacuate people so that they'll try to prepare for e-schooling term yakhona. So I think kuzabonakala ukuthi kuzahamba kanjani on that part. But for me, personal, I actually thought July could actually be a bit earlier, considering also these are the seasons where, like in Zimbabwe, like we are Kotola Kona, that's June, late July. Those are cold seasons according to our calendar. So Uvula is called around June, around maybe July, August, thereabout. It's a bit earlier for me because considering like umoya wankhona weugodola, and in terms of infection spread will be high, and the droplets can actually stay in air for a long time, and that's where also you have high incidence, like abantu bayenza amanye isigulane, like for example bayenza flu then bayakhwehlela lana. So it's, I think for me it will be a bit earlier, but if the measures are put in place correctly, I think they might go ahead, but it's still a problem, still a challenge as well.
So, Doctor, you also touched on the quarantine centers. You highlighted that some schools are being used as quarantine centers.
Yes.
Considering that they say they want to open schools in July, how much preparation needs to be done in a month to ensure that even those quarantine centers are ready to be classrooms and not quarantine centers?
Okay, so like I've said, like quarantine centers, like for example, up in Zimbabwe, we don't have like what we can say official type of quarantine center, because for example, main aim yethu yekuthi umkhuhlane lo ungaspread kubantu abaningi, and we know ukuthi abantu babuya lapha eZimbabwe. Like for example, if they come from South Africa, kule local infection khona ngale, so bayabuya le mkhuhlane. So ama quarantine centers lawa sometimes ukuthi sibe lezindlu ukuthi sifake abantu khona ngale, kuyabe kule nkinga ukuthi for us to find those the different quarantine centers. So that's why some of the areas they are resorting to using churches, even amasonto lawana, even isikolo. Then lamanye building akhona, like those are not being used for other crucial things in the country. So and isikolo vele I read ukuthi isikolo, those are the main quarantine centers that are being used, because one, they have a larger area, and also with ama-classroom akhona have maningi, so uyakwanisa ukufaka abantu depending ukuthi lo positive or negative and all those things. So Nhasi sifuli isikolo now, we need those schools back because our students afuna ukuthi afunde. So now it will be there still need to be measures, because ukuthi siyakhuluma la fumigation land, but sometimes it might not be enough, because ukuthi i-COVID lay it's actually spread like ama droplets lawana, like umuntu angakhwehlela ungaphuma ama-droplets angikhona, they can stay on certain surfaces for some time. So now so kufuna ukuthi nxa ka-test, they have to make sure ukuthi amanye, like they need to stop to make sure ukuthi bangafaki abantu kumanye like ezinye izikolo zingafaki abantu for quarantine centers. That's one. Two, ama-quarantine centers like angikhona izikolo zangikhona zilabantu, they have to try to make sure ukuthi bangaphumisa abantu khona ngale. They need to make sure ukuthi abantu behealth they come to that area, fumigate, then they actually try to check if they can collect some samples on different surfaces, they can, and test. But I think the main issue now is to actually try to fumigate those areas and try if they can repair other things or put some paints or replace certain things there, even if they can do that, I think that would be a good thing, because now we have kunzima ukuthi abantu apongubuya classroom yakhona, and you know ukuthi they've been used by those people with COVID-19, for example. So I think it will be up to government now ukuthi nxa befuna ukuthi abantwana bavule isikolo, all those schools, they have to be fumigated, bangafumigata. Now I can actually reconstruct, put certain new things there to try to actually limit those certain areas that have been in contact with abantwana COVID-19. So bangayenza khonoko, then bangayenza check lama youth personnel bangabuya, then they have to check the area, they have to make sure it's now ready for learning. And obviously funny time frame, for example singaphumisa abantu namuhla, we need even 2 weeks or so to make sure that singayenza fumigation yethu, to make sure we thoroughly clean the area and all those things. Because singaphuma ukuthi abantu singavula isikolo kusasa, then the quarantine, the area was being used for quarantine center a day prior to that, then we have kunzima as well, because we know the infection infection rates can actually be high in those areas.
All right, Doctor. My last question to you, and bengicela uphendule ngesingisi lapha ngesikhiwa. I was saying ukuthi sikhangela, when we see what happened in places like South Africa, you touched on the resources that we have in Zimbabwe. One of the most important things that you highlighted is that teachers and students both need to be tested. Now, looking at the resources that we have, do you think that we would be ready by next month to ensure that both teachers and students are tested and schools can reopen?
Is there saying that we are opening schools next month? It's we just have a few weeks actually for schools to be opened. So, and according to the guidelines now, we were supposed to make sure that if we are, like, for example, education is an institution on its own, and we know that in terms of the spread of COVID-19, it's mainly spread like in terms of like I said like before that, it's mainly about droplet infections, like spread by droplet infection. If people are coughing or sneezing, and even people are talking, shouting, and although they can actually spread those droplets. So, and we know that in terms of education on the school sector, students, they need to participate. Teachers need to ask questions, they need to review students, and there is a lot of talking that is involved, a lot of shouting as well. And some of the students, they can actually be actually asked to sing, at school, like those creche and also grade 1. So I think for that sector now, as I said, that we need to actually test everyone. But as you have mentioned, that in terms of our resources are a bit limited, and it's actually not feasible actually right now to actually think of testing everyone in the health sector, to say that from the teacher, the school heads, the students, everyone who works at the school, it's difficult. And even in boarding schools, it's actually more difficult as well, because they need to test everyone in the dining hall staff, the matrons, it's a challenge. So now in that aspect now, as I said also that COVID-19, for us to say that COVID-19 will go in 2 months' time, we might be lying to ourselves. It might be there for a long time, as long as we don't have the vaccine or the treatment. So I think now what needs to be done with the small resources that we have, we try to like what I said, we try to minimize the infection. Open schools right now, as we have said, that in terms of capacity to test everyone, we can't test everyone. I think what we can do now is we try to test, if we can, if we have even a few kids, we can test those who are symptomatic. Then all the other ones, then we just try to minimize infection. Like I said, that even if we don't test them and they come back to school, we make sure if there is a plan whereby if we have 60 students in the class, I know maybe it might be tiresome or maybe hectic for the school, but for example, if we have 60 students in a class, we know, for example, we have Monday to Friday, but we can actually use Saturday as a platform for learning as well. We need that we have 60 students. We try to make sure that today 10 students come, then they skip another day or something like that.
All right, Mthokoza Muhle Zimbabwe Muhle, you just heard there from Dr. Wallace Hlambelo. He was highlighting umbono wakhe njengodokotela about whether or not Zimbabwe is ready to reopen schools. Sakatudzewo maondrenyu muri Zimbabwe mazvinzwira. You heard from Robson Chere, you heard from Gwanele Moyo, and you also heard from Zimsec themselves. Besithi bona sebereti ngempela sebereti. You also heard from uDokotela Hlambelo. He was saying what needs to be done to ensure ukuthi izikolo are going to be ready by next month. Sakatudzewo maondrenyu muri Zimbabwe +12024650318 is the WhatsApp number. Munokwanisa kuti text up our WhatsApp kana mtida tine urombo muri Zimbabwe. This is a pre-recorded program. Silusizi ngempela Mthokoza Muhle, you cannot call in as usual. Asi munokwanisa kuchudza maondrenyu pa WhatsApp. Makatirira chirongwa chedu chevechidiki uhlelo The Connection. VOA Africa in Zimbabwe has moved to a new satellite. Listeners currently tuning in via Intelsat 20 can now also find us on SES5 band and C-band transponders. You can still receive the VOA Southern Africa Zimbabwe audio on Intelsat 20, but the signal will be deactivated on June 30th, 2020. Continue counting on us for the latest news, music, sports, and more, now with a better signal and a better sound. VOA Africa in Zimbabwe, your best source for news and information. So we have new frequencies, Muria Zimbabwe. We have new frequencies. Those are the frequencies whereby you can catch us. For those that like watching Chirongwa Chedu per satellite, you can catch us on those frequencies. So, vakupinda muchirongwa, you missed us 45 minutes into the program. Tangati chibata nyaya yezvikoro muZimbabwe. Tichitarisa kuti Zimbabwe is still fighting coronavirus. We're still currently on phase 2 of the lockdown, the indefinite period lockdown that President Emerson Mnangagwa said, which should be reviewed once every 2 weeks. Now, government announced 28 July they're going to be reopening schools. Sakatachi taura nevechidiki tichinzwawo kuti nemaondro is Zimbabwe ready to reopen schools. Now let's head over to our second discussion that we have. June 16, Muria Zimbabwe. Today is such an important day, not just for South African youth, but African youth in total. June 16 is the day that was set aside by the African Union as the Day of the African Child. Now, this is a day that targets not just highlighting the challenges that African youth are facing, however, it highlights the strides that African governments have made with regards to promoting African youth. Let's head over to an interview that we had with a human rights activist, Nkosazana Mantate Mlotshwa, who is based in Gontutu Zertunga. Mantate highlights her sentiments on the Day of the African Child, and she also delves deeper and tells us whether or not Zimbabwe is making the right strides. Let's go over to the interview I had with Mantate.
Mina ukubona kwami usuku lwe Day of the African Child luqhakatheke kakhulu ngoba I think lilanga esihlala khona sonke as a continent singabantu abatsha, abantu abadala, labantwana, and sinanzelela ukuqhakatheka komntwana, you know, an African child. A lot of us sakhuliswa endaweni or in families and spaces where i-voice yomntwana ibingaqhakathekiswa kangako. So when we set aside a day, I think khona lokho just the choice to recognize the African child is integral to decision making, is integral to change as we want in our communities. For me, that's just powerful. But when you also look at history of the African child, it is that moment in history where the African child stands up and says, I am done with this kind of oppression. Anything embisela emuva, I have a responsibility njengomntwana wase-Africa to stand up and play my part ukwenzela ukuthi i-change esifuna ukuyibona njengabantu abatsha ibe khona.
Isihloko salomnyaka sithi access to a child-friendly justice system in Africa. Awusitshele Mantate ukuthi lokho kusho ukuthini kuwe njalo nxa sesikhangela indlela abatsha abaphila ngayo kwele Zimbabwe ubona ngani lokho kwenzakala na elizweni?
Singakangeni kuma-demographics that are supposed to benefit from our justice system. Is the justice system in itself fair? Nxa ingekho fair in nature in the way that it's structured on an overall level, it would be crazy to think it's actually designed to, to be sensitive to the needs of abantwana. So when you're looking at the justice system in Zimbabwe, you're looking at ukuthi, are the laws we have in place protecting the interests of abantwana? When you're looking at issues of child marriage, it's a very big issue in Zimbabwe. I don't think there is access to justice khona lapha.
Lapho inhlanganiso ye-African Union yaqala ukuthakazelela usuku lolu babekhangela okwayenzakala kwele South Africa lapho abasakhulayo abensundu babhobha bese Soweto belwela amalungelo abo ngomnyaka ka-1976. Sikhangela indlela abatsha baphila ngayo kwele Zimbabwe, ungathi amalungelo abontanga ayahlonitshwa na?
I think i-approach yami nxa sesikhangela ukuthi amalungelo abontanga ayananzelelwa yini eZimbabwe would come from the same angle kade sithi kumele sikhangele from a holistic perspective where sithi thina amalungelo omuntu nje eZimbabwe ayananzelelwa yini. The truth is awananzelelwa. We have seen a lot of instances. I remember in January in 2019 when we had citizens rising up against the increases in the prices of petrol because they felt that these were changing prices in every other sector. And they were rising not because that was the only grievance, and there were so many other things. So you find that Gulama incidents, I remember I read about an incident in Bulawayo where umntwana wanyathelwa, abantu bebalega and all those things. And there is a lot of things when the police come on the ground, bechaya abantu. It doesn't matter at that moment ukuthi kuchaya umuntu onganani. So for me, vele human rights in Zimbabwe are a non-starter.
All right, Maria Zimbabwe, you just heard there from Nkosazana Mantate Mlotshwa, human rights activist. She was highlighting her sentiments and her thoughts on whether or not Zimbabwe iyaqakathekisa lolu suku, whether or not Zimbabwe is appreciative of the Day of the African Child. Now Mantate highlights city yena ubona ngani ele Zimbabwe hanzi nyika ye Zimbabwe nemaondro akhe is not living up to what has been set up by the African Union. Hanzi nyika ye Zimbabwe haisikuremekedza kodzero dzevechidiki kana kuti kodzero dzevana. Abata zvekare akati zuva iri aiwa izuva rakakosha zvikurusa. Why? Nekuti ati izuva rinoita kuti vechidiki vaoneuka mukana wekurangarira zvakamboitwa nevechidiki kuSouth Africa uko muna 1976 kuSoweto, apo vechidiki vakabuda neuhwandu hwavo vachindoratidzira vachiti pasi nenyaya yekusaremekedzwa. Vanga vechidiki vatema vanga vachiti ivo vanga vachidai vanoti nechirungu equality pakati pavo nevechidiki vachena vanga vari zvizvarwa zvekuSouth Africa. Saka that's what Mantate was saying. She was basically highlighting umbono wake njengesizalwane seZimbabwe city usuku lolu. This day is a very, very, very important day to African youth across the board. She highlighted some of the issues and challenges that African youth are facing. City is some of the issues that Zimbabwe are facing, and these are all universal across the African continent. You find some circumstances whereby things such as child marriages are still happening. Things such as equal access to education is still not happening across the board. And so she finds usuku lolu is very, very, very important because it reminds us that these things still need to be addressed and these things still need to happen. So you guys are njalo labasakhulayo abebandla elesanu PF sike saxoxa lo mnumzana uMabutho Moyo. Mabutho highlighted his sentiments esithi yena njengomuntu ongisakhulayo, him as a young person, he feels as though this day is very important and it is a time whereby the youth of Zimbabwe should be working alongside government to ensure ukuthi one, amalungelo abo alakho ukuhlonitshwa, hanzi kwekodzero dzawo zinokwanisa kuremekedzwa, uyezve mukashanda pamwe chete, hanzi naMabutho mukashanda pamwe chete nehurumende yemutungamiriri wenyika Mnangagwa, vechidiki vanokwanisawo kuwana mukana wekuudza hurumende zvichemo zvavo zvogadziriswa nehurumende.
Message yabva kurusi chidzivirire COVID-19 uzamire meso nemumwe mire 1 mita kubva pane mumwe gezai maweko nesipo kwe20 seconds kana kudarika ezai kusaungana ezai kusaenda paruzhinji nekuti COVID-19 chirwere chiriko. Garai muchisanitizer, gara unekako kasanitizer, nekuti kanouraya virus, chinza masymptoms yevirus, kugotsora isymptom, kupisa muviri isymptom, kutadza kufema zvakanaka, zvana zvakanaka pamasymptom. Kana uchida rubatsiro, fona pa2019, rubatsiro runouya pauri, asingati zvichengetedze hama.
Tirarira swa inini ndindarira, just signal in partnership with Roots Africa and Foneraika 2019. That's the number to call if you have any questions with regards to coronavirus. Muri Zimbabwe tabe kushuka kumagumo yechirongwa chedu cha Nhasi, kodwa singakagqibi uhlelo. Let's go to the third thing that we're looking to discuss namhla kuhlelo lethu labasakhulayo. Earlier on we highlighted ukuthi June 16 is such an important day for African youth. Ngenxa yokuthi this is a day that whereby we remember lokho kwenziwa ngabasakhulayo kwele South Africa, whereby they took to the streets in June 1976, my apologies, and they protested in for equal treatment, for equal rights and so forth. Some of them were rights to education and so forth. Now, for the past 2 weeks here in America, past 3 weeks actually, if not longer, here in America, the youth of America have also been doing something similar. They've been taking to the streets in protest for the end of racism, and they were calling for justice for George Floyd, justice for Rayshard Brooks, who recently died in Atlanta due to a similar circumstance at the hands of a white police officer. So now on Sunday, angike live stream emakhasini ethu amathathu, whereby I showed you what was happening in Washington, D.C. Ngalitshela ngempela zulukandaba ukuthi sizalithulela okunengi lapha kuhlelo lwethu labasakhulayo. On Sunday, the African diaspora decided to take to the streets of Washington, D.C., whereby they were also standing together alongside their African-American counterparts, and they were showing solidarity for the Black Lives Matter movement, and they were also saying, Pansi ngalendaba racism. Let's head over to a report that I did based on the event that happened on Sunday here in the streets of Washington, D.C.
George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and just now Rayshard Brooks. May they rest in peace and power.
Some Africans living in the United States converged in Washington, D.C. on Sunday to show their solidarity to African Americans who have been staging protests nationwide following the recent death in police custody of George Floyd in Minnesota. The Africans, drawn from various nations, staged their peaceful protests at the Meridian Hill Malcolm X Park while wearing traditional clothes and beating drums, showing their support for African Americans who also watched in disbelief the gunning down of a 27-year-old Rayshard Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta, a few days after the burial of Floyd. In both incidents and several others, Black Americans are citing racism as the cause of their death in the hands of white police officers. An African lady who identified as Claire was among hundreds who attended the event. Claire says it is important to support African Americans.
The American community, that we are in unity, that we are for each other, and in order for us to do that is to come out and protest, despite the COVID.
Another participant, Alan Kelly, says Black Lives Matter will become stronger if it is supported by Africans living in the United States. Kelly adds that Africans living in the diaspora also need to support each other in order to achieve certain goals.
I think it's very important to see the solidarity from everybody from these different countries and, that level of awareness that people have about it.
Kelly further says, as an African American, he looks to his African counterparts to highlight the injustices that they're currently encountering in America.
The Black Lives Matter movement is empowered when you have Black people from every diaspora. So it's good to see that, the African continent out here, the Caribbean. I think that shows our strength in a place where we can do a lot of great things just because of the reach of the diaspora. So it's good to see a lot of like-minded people out here.
Kelly's views are echoed by several people, including Sherilyn Grice, who is the current holder of the Miss Africa USA title.
We are precious, we are purposeful, we are put on this earth to do great things, and we are not supposed to be identified by the colors of our skin.
Nina Oduro of Dying Diaspora, an agency based in Washington, D.C. that amplifies the influence of African culture worldwide, says her generation should take over the fight against racism.
What my parents could not achieve, my generation must fight to realize. We cannot continue to scratch the surface of equity. Our lives and that of future generations needs Black lives to matter in police units, in workplaces, in boardrooms, in neighborhoods, in Congress, in the Senate, in the White House, and within every single individual that lives here in the United States.
Thousands of people have staged protests in USA and other countries, urging their governments to respect the rights of Black people. In Britain, jubilant protesters dragged Edward Colston's bronze statue from its plinth and chucked it into the harbor. In a dramatic gesture mirroring what happened to Floyd, one protester placed his knee on Colston's bronze throat before the statue was rolled into the harbor wall. More statues linked to slavery are being targeted worldwide. Reporting from Washington, D.C., this is Mike Hove.
And kings in here. So when you come, this is how we welcome you.
All right, so that was a report that I did based on the event that we were in attendance of on Sunday. Earlier on, I mentioned we were live streaming the event on our 3 Facebook pages. We're going to be updating you on what happened. Now let's head over to an interview that we had with a young Zimbabwean who was also partaking in some of these protests here in the United States of America. Young Sungano Nyadzayo, a 17-year-old. He just recently graduated from high school. Let's hear what young Sungano had to say.
At first, the protest was started by a mother in the community that wanted to educate the younger children, like the elementary school kids. And then so my mom also heard about it, and then she wanted me to come. I'd also gone to like the DC protests, so she thought it would be a good idea to come to this local protest.
Now, we heard you echo some serious, strong sentiments there as a young person. We heard you talking about past victims of police brutality. What exactly, how do you feel when you see such circumstances playing out?
Honestly, it's hard to understand. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me how you can commit such acts to another human. I mean, from my perspective, I feel like everybody is equal. You know, that's what they all say. You know, everybody is equal, and I truly believe that on the inside, that you should treat people how you want to be treated.
So when you go out there and protest, amongst others, what exactly, what is the intention? What is the end goal for yourself personally? And then what do you think what change are you hoping will come about from that?
Personally, the end goal for myself is to get justice for all like every name that wasn't called, and the names that have attention right now. Mm-hmm. The names that we know and the ones that we don't know, because without social media, a lot of this has been happening, and we didn't know. We didn't know it's been happening, but we didn't know. And I feel like until we defund the police, and you know the definition, it's not to abolish the police, it's to defund them, give funds to other sections that need them in the community, instead of going straight to the police. And also to reform the police training.
Wow, so young.
I want accountability I just want people to be held accountable for their past crimes, and then we can stop and try to move on to a better time.
Hi, Mthokozo Muhle, you just heard there from young Sungano, 17-year-old Zimbabwean based in the United States of America. He recently graduated. Hi, isikhathi sami sesiphele sesidliwe ngumangoi chinoburuka chinomara muri Zimbabwe. Tasvika kumagumo echirongwa chedu cha Nhasi. Vanoda kukurukura neni ndiripo pa Twitter nepa Instagram @BigMike3. Aiwa, nguva yangu ndio yapera muri Zimbabwe. Ngatisanganei pano pachirongwa chedu chevechidiki vhiki rinouya. Same time, same place muri Zimbabwe. Anokuoneka ine mufaro, ndino wenyu Mike Hove. Bye bye.